Now I'm sure you're already aware just how awesome of a camera the Canon R50 is. But what's the difference between the R50 and a full-fledged cinema camera like the Canon C70, other than the price? And if the first thing that popped into your mind is image quality, well, you'd be correct in thinking that. But what is it exactly about the image quality of a cinema camera that makes it so much better than your Canon R50? So I'll give you a hint. It's not 4K resolution, and it's not 120 frames per second either. Alright, I'll tell you. It's mainly two things: dynamic range and highlight roll-off. Dynamic range is the ability of your camera to capture the extremely dark parts of a scene while at the same time being able to capture the extremely bright highlights. The other aspect of dynamic range is the ability of the camera to go through various levels of brightness without having harsh transitions between the lighter and the darker areas. This is what's called highlight roll-off. And cinema cameras are typically going to have a beautiful highlight roll-off, which makes for very pleasing skin tones, while normal cameras are going to have a harsher roll-off. So those two things are really the main differences between the image quality of your Canon R50 and a real deal cinema camera. But of course, when you spend that kind of money, you get other things as well, like various exposure tools like false color, you get XLR inputs. While those things are nice to have, they don't really have anything to do with the image quality. And you could get the same results without necessarily having those things. But there is one more thing that cinema cameras come with that is pretty important. And that's built-in ND filters. And there's a lot of advantages to having built-in ND filters as opposed to using those screw-on filters in front of your lens. And what I'm about to share with you is going to give you all three of those things for your Canon R50. It's going to give you built-in NDs, it's going to boost your dynamic range, and it's going to improve your highlight roll-off. Not only is it going to do all of that, but it's going to do it at an amazing price point. So check this out. What I have here is the Mica drop-in ND filter adapter. And Mica took it to another level because not only is this a drop-in variable ND filter, but you can also purchase a CPL and a black mist filter. So the ND filter takes care of one of the boxes that need to be checked if we want to turn the Canon R50 into a mini cinema camera. And now that only leaves two left: dynamic range and highlight roll-off. And that's where the other two filters come into play. So first, let's discuss the black mist filter, because it's going to do two things. It's going to soften the image and bloom the highlights, which gets rid of that digital look common in most mirrorless cameras and modern day lenses. And this will take the edge off of skin tones, hiding minor imperfections and blemishes, as well as improving the highlight roll-off and overall giving you a more cinematic image. So now that we have all of that checked off, the only thing left is to boost the dynamic range. And that's where the CPL filter comes into play. And it does a few things. Firstly, it reduces unwanted glare off of surfaces and skin tones. And it removes reflections off of the surfaces of glass and water. And that's why you see so many filmmakers and photographers using CPL filters anytime they're shooting vehicles, windows, lakes, or anything that has reflective surfaces. But the other thing that a CPL filter can do is increase the saturation anytime you're filming the sky, thereby giving you bluer skies. And this is especially important for Canon footage, because even though Canon colors are amazing, they do have a tendency for blown out highlights. And so this is as close as we can get to increasing the dynamic range of the camera. And that's taking place by manipulating the light before it hits the sensor. So it's boosting the dynamic range optically as opposed to doing it in camera. So I think you can start to see why this is such an amazing adapter for the Canon R50. But what's even more amazing is that it's only around 170 bucks. And if you want the CPL filter, it's an additional 80 bucks, and the black mist filter is also about 80 bucks. Now when you put all three together, it is a significant investment, but you have to consider that many screw-on ND filter, CPL filters, and black mist filters cost more than that. Now keep in mind that this system can only be used with EF and EFS lenses. That's why it's called an adapter, because it allows you to expand your lens choices beyond the limited amount of lenses that are available in the RF mount. So if you already have some EF lenses lying around, then you're in a perfect position. Me personally, even though I own a bunch of RF mount cameras, to this day, I still haven't purchased an RF mount lens because I have some awesome EF glass like the Sigma 18-35 and other lenses that I'll link down in the description below. So for me, this isn't really a limitation because there's a lot of affordable and amazing EF glass out there, while there's not that many good RF lenses, and the ones that are good are extremely overpriced. Now, if you found value so far in this video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future tutorials and reviews. I appreciate that. So now that you know how to turn your Canon R50 into a mini cinema camera, I hope you go out there and get some amazing photos and footage. But keep in mind, it's not only about the gear. A lot of it is going to depend on your skills. And that's why I highly suggest you watch this video next, where I talk about 5 photography tips that every photographer should know. I appreciate you watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. It's Fulan Creative signing out. Peace.